So now this is what can happen in football, Neil. There you were, getting on with your job as goalkeeper coach at Villa, and then presumably Unai Emery comes in with his own backroom staff and you move on. I take it that's what's happened.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, 4 years at the club have been an unbelievable 4 years. You know, the club's progressed, and when a club progresses at that speed, you kind of expect it grows and grows and grows, and you expect at some stage there's going to be a big manager coming in, you know, as the club wants to grow. So big manager comes in, normally they bring all their own staff in, and that's football. And you have to, when you sign a contract, you have to realise that may be the way.
Painful as it is, though.
It is painful, especially when you kind of build a philosophy and you create an environment that's working and you feel it's working. All the goalkeepers are progressing, and I feel like Emi progressed really, really well. And obviously he's just won World Goalie of the Year. And then all of a sudden you're out of a job. So it's difficult. It is difficult, but it's part and parcel, you know, and you have to get on with it, and you have to keep learning. You have to keep moving forward, and that unfortunately is football.
So, I mean, Neil, you worked with him, obviously, and as goalkeeper coach, you know Emi Martinez probably better than anybody.
Yeah.
What was your take in it when they get to the final, and we saw what went on come the penalties, and we saw the antics? Mm-hmm. Is it all part of the game? Would you have done that?
Yeah, I think when you look at where he's come from and what he's achieved over a small period of time, you know, he's give up so much to be the best, and his desire and his life that he's got in order to improve and be the very, very best day in, day out. You kind of think, go on then. If you're not hurting anybody, you know, it's after the game. You've just won the World Cup. As long as you're not hurting anybody, go and enjoy yourself, you know, because you've given up everything to achieve. His passion, he's so passionate, and that's just the way he is. That's just his character. And like, he's not the type of person to go out there hurting anybody, but you know, he's going to have a little bit of fun with it.
I get that, and I'm not grilling you, but I mean, it was the world's biggest stage. He was on it. Was it professional? He wasn't hurting anybody, but was it professional? Truly?
No, I wouldn't say it was professional. I definitely wouldn't say it's professional. But when you've achieved what you've achieved over a short period of time, and listen, he's like a 30-year-old, 23-year-old. He's not played the game. He's not played the game regularly, so he's learning on his feet, and he's learning very, very quickly. Before he came to Aston Villa, he'd only played a handful of Premier League games. So you go from only playing a few games in the Premier League to winning the World Cup in 3 years. That's a lot to take on, you know, over a short period of time. So, you know, a lot of experiences that he's gained over a short period of time, and sometimes you have to go on then.
So, I mean, Neil, he's a world champion.
Yeah.
Whichever way you look at it, he's a world champion. Is he amongst the best three best goalkeepers in world football? I
think you have to say that now, yeah. Especially, like I keep saying, he's achieved so much over a short period of time. You know, Copa America, the World Cup, and now the World Goalie of the Year. So he's achieved that much over that short period of time that you have to put him up there. You know, he's a serial winner now, and the big thing about Emi, his desire to win. He'll do anything to win a game, and his desire to improve day in, day out means he's only going to keep moving forward.
I think, sparing your blushes, you actually gave him huge amount of advice when it came to penalty kicks. Be almost on the edge of arrogance to do your own job.
And that's the big thing with him, you know. To get Emi at his best, he's got a border arrogance. He's confident to the point of arrogance, and that's what we always work on.
I'll tell you about that.
But I get what you're saying, Neil. I do get what you're saying here.
To achieve what you want to achieve in life, you have to have a certain amount of arrogance, but not you're bordering it. And that's the big thing with Emi. It's kind of making sure he doesn't go too high, which he possibly did after winning the World Cup. Yeah. That's his character, you know. You've got to be the right. And when you're a coach and when you're goalies coach, you got to know how to bring him down. And you're kind of a psychologist, really, because you know when to build him up and you know when to bring him down. And that's, I think, is an important thing.
Yeah. You know, the man Murphy here was one of 10 outfield players. But they would always say, and we would always say, goalkeepers are a breed apart. Yeah. But you're a damned important breed, aren't you?
Exactly right. It's a sport within a sport. And for me, I'm biased, but it's the most important position on the pitch, because one mistake and you're done, and you've let the whole team down. So, again, psychologically, you've got to be extremely strong. And you'd rather have a goalkeeper bordering arrogance than one that's going to sit in the shell and not come for a cross and not express themselves in a game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You like that sort of chat, don't you?
Yeah, of course I do.
Bordering arrogance, but knows his own worth.
I don't like bordering arrogance, because I don't think arrogance is the right analysis. I think confidence, extreme belief in yourself. Arrogance is almost based upon ignorance. Confidence is based upon belief. You want that absolute belief in yourself. Mm-hmm. But I think goalkeepers are remarkable positions. If you look at Nottingham Forest's ascent, when they won the Champions League or the European Cup and the First Division, it's because the final piece of the jigsaw was Peter Shilton. Mm-hmm. And the goalkeepers have always been massively undervalued. Goalkeepers can win your leagues. Goalkeepers can stop you from getting relegated. They can win your points. And there's such a mess, and that's why you're now seeing goalkeepers going for 75 million quid. It's not the rule, but you're seeing it being attached. But also look at the advancing in goalkeepers. I had goalkeeping coaches at Palace, and sometimes I thought, this is a really good job for the boys here. Like, it's a bit easy-ozy. Sorry, Jim Barron, but that's what I thought. Right? But as you've seen now, the investment into goalkeeping and the technical ability some of these goalkeepers have, it's remarkable. It's a properly identified position that has a unique situation of concentration and discipline, athleticism and technique all wrapped up.
Well,
in
Ederson at Man City is technically better and a better passer than a lot of midfield players in the Premier League. 100%. I'm not exaggerating.
And when we're talking back in the day, you'd say goalkeepers have to be crazy. Like, that was back in the day. Like, goalkeepers now have to be intelligent, because there's so much detail that goes into goalkeeping now that you have to be intelligent. And that you're seeing the young goalies coming through the system now and coming through the youth are intelligent, probably a little bit more introverted rather than extroverted, but are scholars of the game. You know, they want to understand and they want to learn and they want to progress, because they're understanding how difficult it actually is.
I mean, keepers have got to be good, Neil, with the ball at their feet these days.
Yeah.
But are you?
Well, am I as a goalkeeping coach?
Today?
Yeah, exactly right. You have to be, because you have to be able to show them how to play. You have to teach them all the clubs, or you've got to have an understanding of every club that they've got, you know, and how to teach that, which is difficult in itself.
What about the I think it's a bugbear for a lot of people when they watch keepers punching when they've got no one around them and they can catch, because Emi's more of a catcher, isn't he? I know he does occasionally punt, but he does a bit of both.
Excellent at protecting the space, and that's a matter of, I'm always saying, I'm an advocate of protect the space, get one step out of your comfort zone. A lot of goalies will stay in their comfort zone and everything then becomes a shall I, shan't I. One step out your comfort zone and you're protecting so much of more of the space. Emi will step out of his comfort zone, and that's, you know, when you're talking about an introvert and an extrovert, mainly introverts will sit and protect. De Gea is a prime example of a shot stopper. You know, he'll protect the goal, won't so much protect the space. Whereas if you want an all-round goalie, they'll do both, and it's so important that your goalie protects the space and relieves the pressure.
Neil, without being unkind to them, Aston Villa are a long way off top 6, a long way off top 4. So it begs the question, Martinez, a world champion, would you expect him to move anytime soon? You look around the place, well, where? Hugo Lloris at Tottenham, would there be a berth there?
Yeah, it's a conversation I'm sure that his agents will be having. But if you look at Aston Villa, it is a growing club and it's a club with very wealthy owners, and I'm sure the club will have a right going the summer to bring in some top players. How soon they can get to that and play in Europe?
What is he now, 30?
He's 30, 31, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's in his prime. He's definitely in his prime, and I'm sure there'll be clubs speaking to his agent. But he's that type of person that'll just have blinkers and want to win. And
never mind Emi Martinez. What about Neil Cutler? You're only 46. You're but a boy.
Yeah.
And obviously you're highly thought of at the top level in football.
Yeah.
So you're now be hoping to apply your trade at another Premier League club, presumably.
Exactly right. You know, I'm ready. It's always the same when people come out of clubs and they go, yeah, you know, I'm going to sit back and take stock and have a think. But it is when you first come out of it, you're like, it's a bit of a, because it's so intense. It is so intense. So you come and you take a breather and you feel like you need it. I have needed it. And now I feel like I'm ready to go again. But like what we spoke about, it's like every manager now has got their own staff, so it becomes more and more difficult. But as long as owners, managers, CEOs, football directors understand how important, like Simon just said, how important goalkeeping coach can be, then I'm sure that another chance will come up.
I've seen you at games. You are a giant of a man, but they all are. I mean, Martinez is a big guy. I was down at Brighton before he went away to the World Cup, and I saw him standing. God, he's huge.
He's a big one. Yeah, he's a big one. But that's another part of it as well, isn't it? And we spoke so much to Emi about bringing his character onto the pitch, and that's a big part. Yeah, you know, being a leader, being a character, and show his passion on the pitch.
What's the perfect size for a goalkeeper? I mean, you see people like Fraser Foster at 6'7" and look absolutely gigantic, and you see other goalkeepers like go back to Peter Shilton that weren't that tall. What do you think? I mean, obviously sometimes you look at goalkeepers when they're young and you look at their mothers to see how they're going to grow, right?
Yeah.
How big?
You look at the mothers.
You do, don't you? It's true, isn't it?
Yeah, Simon does that anyway. But anyway,
no,
he's talking about his Palace days.
I'm not. What do I do with you? Go outside and face the corner.
No, exactly right, Simon. Yeah, exactly right what you're saying. I don't think there is a perfect size, because the smaller goalies are more athletic, more agile, more quick around the goal. Bigger goalies are probably more imposing. You know, will probably come for a few more crosses. But you look like David Reyes and people like that are not the tallest, but will protect the space and will protect the goal. I think you have to be over a certain size. You know, you can't be like a 5'5", 5'6", but anything over 6 foot, you just obviously depends what size you are. If you're small, you have to be quick, agile, and athletic.
I think even 6 foot is becoming small for
Yeah,
a
I think
goalie.
so.
It is becoming small.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It is. But these goalies are athletes. You know, they're pure athletes.
Neil, never mind all that. Can you do a Rennie Higuita?
Not without my back snapping in half now.
It's great speaking to you, mate.
And you've been a
Instead,
pleasure.
before you go, we all want to know, having played with him when he was just a young lad, how did Murphy go on to have the career he did?
Unbelievable.
Come on.
Great player, mate. Great player. Very, very good.
See how they stick
Destined.
together,
Was destined
Simon.
from
See
an
how they
early
stick
age.
together. Neil, we wish you well. Neil Cutler, formerly until recently goalkeeping coach at Aston Villa, and now sooner than later, I would suggest sooner, at another big club doing exactly the same thing. Neil, great to speak to you.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.